What is going on, bottom line viewers? It's Kevole. And as far as I am been made aware, I have been checking Twitter, I have been checking Facebook, I have been checking the Green Bay Packers website, and as far as I know, and wait, I'll just check here on my phone. Nope. The Green Bay Packers will be attending at Lambeau Field to play the New Orleans Saints on Sunday. They have not canceled their season in any way, shape, or form. They are planning to continue to play. So all of you who are thinking that the Green Bay Packers are D-U-N-E, as Dylan spelled this, we are going to talk about if the Green Bay Packers are done. And I know it looks bad. I mean, after all, one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of our game is out. Aaron Rodgers is out with an injury and it's broken collarbone, and most are thinking it's the end of the season. And with that, is expected to end the Green Bay Packers season. But is it really? Is it really over? Really over? Well, let's have a quick look at this, because it's hard to believe that a team that has been as successful as the Green Bay Packers over the years can be as done. I mean, let's first of all look at the big fact here of the actual history of the Packers, the NFC North champions, the team that went to the NFC Championship last year only to be defeated by, of course, the Atlanta Falcons. We know that so well, as of course we talk about 28-3. But let's look even further here. I mean, the Green Bay Packers have been one of the premier teams of the NFC North. Let's look at this. They've won the division 5 out of the last 6 years. They haven't missed the playoffs since 2002. No, they haven't. They've rarely missed the playoffs. They're a part of the playoffs. They're a staple. They're a guarantee pretty much of the playoffs. This year, it's going to be really interesting. But let's take a look at this, not necessarily from a Green Bay Packer perspective. I mean, yes, let's be honest. Aaron Rodgers to Brent Hundley is not a pretty picture. It's not. Brent Hundley is going to have his struggles, and this is not going to look good, and this is not going to be pretty. And yes, I would agree, the offensive line and the secondary and many places within the Green Bay Packer team is not very good, and there's a lot of injuries. A lot of injuries. But let me respond with this. Can you name me a team that doesn't have a lot of injuries right now? Can you name me a team that doesn't have a lot of offensive line problems right now? Specifically in the NFC, can you name many teams? Maybe you look at the Philadelphia Eagles and you're thinking that they're okay. Maybe you look at another team like the South, maybe. But really at this point, if you actually look at the NFC, and which is what we're going to mostly talk about, it seems to be that there's a lot of teams that are really bunched in, and there's a couple of really bad teams. But everyone else is kind of in this murky middle. And let's first look of all why I think the Green Bay Packers are not necessarily out of this. Let's look at their own division. You have the Minnesota Vikings, who have 2 average quarterbacks and 1 that is injured. You've lost your premier running back in Dalvin Cook, and your premier wide receiver, one of the best in the league, Stephon Diggs, is currently injured as well. That offense is just not a strong offense at this point in time. Yeah, they did beat the Green Bay Packers 23-10, but you have to remember also that Aaron Rodgers was out early in that game. And that was probably a game, if you look back at the Vikings, you kind of maybe wonder, couldn't you have won by just a little bit more? You didn't. Let's then look at the Detroit Lions. Yeah, the Detroit Lions are a really talented team. They find ways to win. Their defense is aggressive. They did lose to the New Orleans Saints 52-38. They are a scrappy team. But do you know they haven't won in Green Bay since 1991? Isn't that a long time? When it comes down to the Lions and the Packers in Green Bay, Detroit doesn't know how to win, and they haven't done it in so long. So how are we thinking that the Lions are all of a sudden going to discover this magic elixir? and having the Packers, and they haven't won since 1991. They don't have the confidence that don't have the history or something to back them to guarantee that they can win in Green Bay. And you got the Chicago Bears, and they just don't have a receiver right now. They're not going to be a team that's competing in playoffs at this point. They're going to have a win here and there for sure. They've got some good things, but are they? They're not obviously not going to be a contending team. So if you look at the NFC North, the Packers are 4-2. They're not as bad out of it as we think, especially when we think about where the Vikings are and where the Detroit Lions are and where Chicago Bears are. It's not that bad. Let's look at other divisions. Let's look at the NFC East. Yes, the Philadelphia Eagles are 5-1, and after tonight's game or after Thursday's game between the Chiefs and the Raiders, and the Chiefs losing, a lot of people are thinking the Philadelphia Eagles are coming into this weekend as number one on the power rankings. So let's put them over here for a second, and let's look at the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins. They're 3-3. The Cowboys still, at some point in time, are going to lose Ezekiel Elliott for 6 games. At this point, they're 500. Are they going to be sticking at a 500 point? Are they going to be in that conversation? We're not sure. Washington, could be one way. Some people think that they're in the top 2 of the NFC, but some people aren't convinced that Kirk Cousins is that premier clutch quarterback yet. So the Washington Redskins are not necessarily a team that's going to be running away with this. Let's look at the NFC West. And let's look at what people are saying about the NFC West. It's a weak division. You need 9 wins to probably win that division. You'd only need 9, maybe 10. So if you get 10 wins, you're going to win the division. Second place will be in the 9 and 8. We'll hold on to that thought there about 9 wins and 8 wins, because that's what Dallas and Washington could be at too. 9 and 8, 9 and 7, 8 and 8. Then you have the NFC South. Yeah, the New Orleans Saints are 3-2, but are we sure, Dylan? Are we sure they're legit? The Atlanta Falcons find ways to lose games and blow leads. They've lost 2 in a row as we're going in, possibly 3 in a row. I'm not sure what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are. Sometimes they show that they're a good team. Some halves they show that they're a bad team. Some halves they show that they're a good team. We're just not sure what the Tampa Bay Bucs are going to be. Let's be honest. And Cam Newton threw 5 interceptions against the Philadelphia Eagles. So when you look at all of this factor going into this, let's not look at one player knocking out another out and having another player. This is a significant loss for the NFL. Let's not mince words about that. It's absolutely true. But if you're the Green Bay Packers, you're going to change your lineup a little bit and you're going to change your strategy. You're obviously not going to rely on Brett Hundley to do the things that Aaron Rodgers does, because the only person that does things that Aaron Rodgers does is Aaron Rodgers. But what you are going to do, when your coaching staff is going to do, is bring up a game plan, an offensive game plan that's going to be a little bit more conservative, and your defense is going to step up just a touch more on that defense to prove that you are a better team. You remember the name Aaron Jones. He's been playing really well the last couple of weeks, coming into his own. Jordy Nelson's still a strong receiver. Ty Montgomery may move from running back to receiver. We don't know. The Green Bay Packers will find a way to somehow keep themselves into this. Now, if this team was 2-4 and 3-3 and they lost Aaron Rodgers, I think that yes, this would be a legitimate argument that they're finished because their record is under 500. But when you have 4 wins in your pocket, when other teams are in the same boat, and the reality of the situation is the wild card, and most of the way you need to get is maybe 9, 8, maybe 9 wins. I said 9, but 8 or 9 wins. You have a chance, if you take yourself to a 500 record the last 10 games, 4-6, 5-5, to keep yourself in the conversation to be in the playoffs. So are the Packers D-U-N-E? I'm going to say no, not because I see an incredibly talented team by the Green Bay Packers. I see a parity in the NFC, And the Packers have this magic at home, and they seem to find ways to bring themselves up top. But what do you think? Are the Packers D-U-N-E? Like and subscribe to this video. Follow me on Twitter at Kevole. Follow Dylan the Wrestling God at Wrestling God 27. Mitch Milani at Mitch Milani, The Bottom Line View. Comment below. Tell us what you think. Are the Green Bay Packers D-U-N-E? Or, as others actually spell this word, D-O-N-E. This is Kevole for The Bottom Line View. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.